Hello. Welcome to this episode of the podcast. Thank you for always tuning in. My name remains Faith, and I'm your privileged host. In this episode, I'll be talking to you about wants and needs. And this is likely going to be a two-part episode. But let's follow along and see how far we can go, because I really don't want each episode to be so long like we used to have it. So like I said, I'll be talking to you about wants and needs. And from our knowledge of economics, we have come to understand over the years and by experience as well, that human wants are numerous and insatiable. And this is very true. Like I said, economics as a social science also stresses the fact that there's such a thing a scale of preference in relation to the fact that human wants are insatiable. And so this scale of preference, as it were, helps us organize a list of wants in an order of hierarchy, according to hierarchy of importance. So, but the thing is, when it comes to needs, or when it comes to the things that we need as humans, we find that this list isn't so long and are usually direct and straight to the point. And studies of science also identify the following as humans' basic needs. They identified feeding, clothing, and shelter as the three most basic and most important of human needs. That's physically speaking. And it is until that every human has met or satisfied these basic needs that we then go on to begin to identify and have a craving to satisfy other expressions of needs, such as identity, a sense of belonging and community, companionship and friendship, purpose, value, impact, influence, wealth, and among other expressions of needs, which are pretty much important as well. We however find that oftentimes we place our wants above our needs, whether out of ignorance, prejudice, or lack of understanding. And this kind of move usually leaves us hurt, disappointed, frustrated, and lost in the eventual outcome. And this is also often the reason you find many people struggle in their old age, trying to grapple with a sense of guilt from wasted time, wasted years, wasted effort, trying to amass wants rather than sufficiently attending to major things or the major needs of your lives. I remember the opening chapter of a particular book I was reading by the late Dr. Miles Monroe about a man, who at some point, this man was known to be wealthy, rich, and all of that, but he basically struggled with this sense of emptiness, and he had the success, he had the wealth, he had everything, but he really hadn't come to an enshrined or deep-seated feeling of fulfillment. Why? Because something was missing, and that is because and you should understand this as we go on, because he had not yet identified to some extent or to a large extent the major need of his life. So now it is not a bad thing, to desire good things, to want beautiful and happy and amazing life filled with all kinds of goodies and luxuries. I I for one want to live a luxurious life. I want to live, a beautiful, happy life, have a whole lot of things, and be wealthy. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's something wonderful to think about and to actually experience and live in. It is not a bad thing. But this is not to be at the expense of the most important things in life, especially, the fulfillment of purpose and destiny. So let's do a little exercise. I'd like you to do this little exercise. I want you to do, create a list of things that you want or have always wanted, and also include some of those things that you have already gotten. Now, that is your first list. Now, in your second list, I want you to also, think about this carefully. Make a list of the things that you know you actually need. Things you actually need in your life. Make a list of those things, at least to the best of your knowledge at this time. Now, when you've done that, I want you to critically evaluate how the content of each list contributes to or gets you closer to the fulfillment of your life's purpose and overall fulfillment. Now, this is something you need to critically do and be honest about. Now, when as you make this evaluation, I need you to begin to answer these following questions, basically a couple of questions. Now, see how important, or answer the question about how important those things you're listed in those lists, or you've written down in those lists, how important they are to your life right now. Also answer the question of the fact that should you be invested in acquiring them or gratifying the desire for them. Now, if and when you can answer these questions, as honestly and as sincerely as you can, you would have been able to identify, you would have been able to recognize and identify, if you did this with all sincerity and acknowledgement of heart, the superficial weights that you need to let go. Those weights that easily beset, those weights that easily distract and slow, you down in the journey of purpose. And this is very, very important. Now, like I said, if you've been able to fully and sincerely answer those questions and made a critical evaluation of the items on your list, you'll be able to see those things you need to drop off. This is really important if you must go far in life and go far in destiny and go far in purpose, because the reality indeed, just like the topic of this particular episode says, sometimes what you need is not what you want, right? What you want really isn't always what you need. So it's important to understand this and begin to evaluate our choices, based on this understanding. Begin to evaluate life's decisions, cogent life decisions that we make based on this. How close or how important is this to the fulfillment of my life's purpose and destiny? How close does this get me to the point of fulfillment? How important is this choice? How important is the purchase of this thing? How important is this decision? Or how critical is it to my destiny? Is it going to make or mar my destiny? Is it going to bring me joy and fulfillment in the end? Am I going to regret this decision? Or is this going to be just another addition to the many acquisitions, I've gotten over time, just in my quest to make a statement or prove a point? The great and wise King Solomon, having amassed all the wealth, all the treasure, all the influence, even all the women and all of that, came to a conclusion that all is vanity. All is vanity. And what's more important, right, is to a large extent, paraphrasing from reading the book of Ecclesiastes, is to find out exactly who you are, what God has made you to be, and walking in it and serving God. You can get that from that scripture as well. Serving God while you are young, giving your life, giving your heart to God while you're young, because all of these contribute to you fulfilling purpose and destiny in the end, and you coming to, an overall sense of fulfillment. And I'm going to stop this episode, or this particular part of the episode, on this note, and just challenge you to actually do that exercise. Think about those things that you've always wanted, that you want, and the things that you wanted that you've gotten in critical times, and also evaluate them against the things that you found or figured out that you actually need, and judge yourself based on that. Are you walking towards the fulfillment of your purpose, or are you dragging yourself back, or weighing yourself down, or putting stumbling blocks before yourselves? You need to really figure out and evaluate, are those things that you want really the things that you need? All right, till I come your way again on the concluding part of the episode, keep living a life of purpose and keep living a life of faith. Bye-bye.